Okay, so I pulled up the gauge this evening like I do every single day, and I just sat there staring at my phone for a second. 1,039.17 feet. That's Lake Mead right now. Today, late August 2026. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you've been following this channel, that number should send a chill down your spine. Remember earlier this year when we were watching that 1,050-foot mark? We didn't just cross it. We blew right past it. And sitting at 1,039 feet today, we are now just over 4 feet from the real engineering cliff Hoover Dam officials fear. 1,035 feet. Full pool on this lake is 1,229 feet. We are nearly 190 feet below that. We spent the entire summer baking in the heat, watching hundreds of thousands of acre-feet evaporate, while we drained the lake to keep the grid and the farms alive downstream. Here's what is keeping me up at night now. If the lake drops just over 4 more feet, to 1,035 feet, 12 out of Hoover Dam's 17 turbines can no longer operate. That triggers an immediate, catastrophic 70% cut in Hoover Dam's power output. This dam is supposed to power over 1.3 million homes across Nevada, Arizona, and California. When those turbines go offline, utility companies are forced to buy expensive replacement power on the open market and pass those costs straight to your monthly electricity bill. Your energy costs, your property values, your home insurance, it is, all tied to these next few feet of water. And that safety net we always talk about, the Rocky Mountain snowpack? This past winter was a severe snow drought, yielding only about 40% of our average river streamflow runoff. The savings account is empty, and Lake Powell upstream can barely keep its own head above water. We are still spending far more water than we earn, every single day. But I want to stop for a second and talk about why we are bankrupting this river. Because what you see on the news every night is only half the story. The real reasons go much deeper, into science and history that politicians just refuse to admit. Let's start with the biggest lie of all, the 1922 Colorado River Compact. Over 100 years ago, a group of men sat down to divide up the water of the Colorado River among 7 states. They looked at the river flow from the previous couple of decades, decided there was plenty of water to go around, allocating over 17 million acre-feet every year, and they signed the paperwork. But here is what modern science tells us, and this is the part that should make you furious. Hydrologists looked back at ancient tree rings across the Southwest. Tree rings are like nature's hard drive. They record exactly how wet or dry a year was, going back centuries. Those tree rings proved that the period right before 1922 was the wettest, most unusually rainy period in the last 500 years. The real long-term average flow of the river is closer to 13.5 million acre-feet. Do the math. For over a century, our state governments have been legally promising 16 million acre-feet of water from a river that naturally provides only 13.5 million. We built the entire economy of the Southwest, Phoenix, Vegas, Los Angeles, massive farming empires on a math error. We have been writing bad checks for 100 years, and Lake Mead is the bank account that just ran dry. Now add in the second hidden threat that nobody in charge wants to talk about, the atmospheric vacuum. You hear people talk about drought, and you probably think of a simple lack of rain. But it's worse than that. Scientists call it vapor pressure deficit. I just call it the invisible sponge. As temperatures rise into the 90s and hundreds, the hot air physically expands. It gets thirsty. It literally acts like a giant vacuum, sucking moisture directly out of the soil, out of the snowpack before it can melt, and straight off the surface of Lake Mead. Even in years when we get decent snow in the Rockies, a huge percentage of it never reaches the river. The dry, hot air steals it first. We are losing hundreds of thousands of acre-feet of water a year just to evaporation. Poof, gone into the sky. And here is where it hits your wallet. Let's update those 3 levels you need to know, because the timeline just got a lot tighter. Level 1, 1,035 feet. the Hydropower Cliff. We are just over 4 feet away. Crossing this line shuts down 12 of the dam's 17 turbines, cutting Hoover Dam's power capacity by 70% and forcing utilities to buy expensive alternative power. Level 2, 950 feet. Minimum power pool. The remaining turbines go completely silent. Hoover Dam stops generating electricity entirely and becomes a very expensive concrete plug in the river. We are now about 90 feet away from this happening. Level 3, 895 feet. Dead pool. The water drops below the intake pipes entirely. Gravity stops moving anything. No power. No water to Los Angeles. No water to Phoenix. No water to the Imperial Valley farms that stock grocery shelves across the entire country. I'm not predicting dead pool happens tomorrow, but I am telling you that every bad policy decision, every stalled negotiation, and every inch of elevation we give up without a realistic plan is marching us right toward a scenario that politicians used to call impossible. Here is the part that makes me genuinely angry. You are being told to rip out your lawn. You are being scolded for washing your car. But 80% of the Colorado River's water doesn't go to your tap or mine. It goes to agriculture. Specifically, alfalfa, cotton, and dairy operations grown right in the middle of the scorching desert. Some of this water-heavy alfalfa is harvested, packed up, and shipped overseas to feed cattle in foreign countries. We are literally exporting our most precious resource while our own lakes go dry. Why? Because of a 150-year-old frontier law called prior appropriation. It basically means first in time, first in right. The massive corporate farms that claimed the water back in the late 1800s have senior water rights. Cities like Phoenix, which grew decades later, have junior water rights. So, when the cuts finally come, the cities get cut first. Your tap is at risk before their desert alfalfa fields are. The math on that just doesn't work for the modern world. And there is a hidden consequence to all this draining: the salt crisis. As the water level drops, the natural salts and minerals in the river become concentrated. The water gets saltier. It corrodes municipal pipes faster. But worse, it ruins the soil for the farmers downstream. When you pour salty water onto a field in the hot sun, the water evaporates and leaves a crust of salt behind. Over time, that land becomes completely useless. We are destroying the very soil that feeds the nation. The new Colorado River Compact negotiations happening right now, the ones that will replace the old rules expiring soon, are going to force brutal choices. Agriculture will eventually have to take a hit. And when they do, food prices go up. Everywhere, not just here in the Southwest. The one city that actually read the writing on the wall? Las Vegas. They saw the math error. They saw the evaporation. And they spent $1.4 billion drilling a third intake tunnel down to 860 feet 35 feet below dead pool. It was a massive, expensive, smart investment. The rest of the Southwest? They are still playing catch-up, crossing their fingers for rain. So here is what I need you to do right now. If you own property in Nevada, Arizona, California, or anywhere along the Colorado River corridor, pay attention to these negotiations. Don't let your eyes glaze over when politicians talk about water rights. Water rights in this region are going to be the most valuable, most contested, and most dangerous investment category of the next 20 years. People who understand the reality of this gauge early, the people who see what is actually happening, are going to make very different decisions for their retirements, their homes, and their families than the people who figure it out too late. I'm going to keep coming back out here and giving you the real numbers. No spin, no politics, just the gauge, the facts, and what they actually mean for your life. If this video helped you understand what's truly happening out here, if it gave you a clearer picture than the evening news, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach the people who desperately need to hear this. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I update this every time something significant moves. And please share this with someone you know who lives in the Southwest or has family out here. Because most people still have absolutely no idea how close to the edge we actually are. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And are you seeing these water issues or the costs of them hitting your area yet? I'll see you on the next one. Stay sharp out there.